Neha Gupta is a two-time international best-selling author, top 100 teen expert around the world, TEDx speaker, and serial entrepreneur, creating the Shortcuts empire on helping students get into their dream school. Over the last 12 years, she has built elite private tutors college shortcuts, medical shortcuts, law school shortcuts, grad school shortcuts, and MBA shortcuts, with the mission to serve families and make parents' lives easier every day, while 95% of families get into their dream school. She has helped tens of thousands of students get into their dream school and won't stop until every child gets that acceptance letter. She has built a school in Africa, been endorsed by Dr. Shafali Sabari, the world-leading parenting expert by Oprah, and families around the world interview to work with one of their companies for limited spots. She has been featured on ABC as an expert for teenagers, NBC, CBS, The Washington Post, Parents Magazine, and even coined the female that helps students get 6 figures in scholarships, according to Student Loan Hero. Welcome to her latest creation, Dream School TV, where she brings in the best experts and guests on admissions and gives the latest trends and tips. Take it away.
Hi everyone, this is Neha Gupta, founder of Dream School TV. I am so excited about my guest today. You may not know this, but I interviewed Ryan about 2 years ago, and it's kind of exciting to see where he was at to where he is now. Ryan is at one of the top med schools in the country, and he's had such an incredible experience from undergrad all the way through. So Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. So Ryan, so much has happened since the last time we've interviewed. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you attended undergrad at USC. Can you talk a little bit about some of the great things you did there? Because I know a lot of people that are watching, and USC is like one of their dream schools. Now, even if USC is not your dream school, I think it's really powerful to hear Ryan's story, to see a student who's really engaged in their student body and how it can make such a difference, not just in the undergrad experience, but even to the graduate experience. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So I started in 2014, I believe, and it's been a while.
I know, right? Hard to keep track of dates.
And one of the first things that I did was I joined the university's marching band. So I'm a trumpet player. I've been playing trumpet for a very long time, but marching band has been something I've always wanted to do at USC, and it's been a great way to really get connected to the core of school spirit and just meet new people and have kind of a unique experience at college.
Awesome. And is there anything else you were involved with on campus other than that?
I would occasionally mentor. So I would mentor for the LGBT Resource Center as well as the Asian Pacific American Student Services Center. So I was really involved in mentoring and mostly marching band. Marching band was a good chunk of my time.
I am sure it was. It's funny because I was on dance team for parts of my time in college, and the times that I was part of that, I was part of like nothing else. Like there was no way I could do anything else because there were so many games that I had to attend. So totally hear you on that. So Ryan, let's talk a little bit about your med school applications and kind of that experience. So here you are, you're in college, you're hitting, at the end, kind of like goes pretty fast, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it goes too fast, personally. I mean, maybe that's why I do what I do, because I still want to feel like I'm in college, right? So everyone
wishes that they were back in college at some point.
I love it, right? I do. I mean, I feel like an overgrown college kid. Okay, so in terms of that experience, right? So let's talk a little bit about, why med school? What was your reasoning behind doing that versus anything else?
Well, I think a common thing that a lot of people will say is that they want to help people. And of course that's true, but I always like to give a bit more reason behind that. And one way I want to help people is through the sciences and through using my brain, puzzle solving, and medicine really brings all those aspects together in a profession where you are constantly helping people. And I do love working with people. And so it's not just you giving someone pills, it's you talking to a person.
Absolutely. So I know, one of the things we do, obviously, we help students with admissions for undergraduate, but we also help with med school shortcuts as well. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, let's talk about the application process. A lot of people are really scared when it comes to med schools and applying. And I know you applied to a few schools, and of course chose USC, which is great. LA and California is amazing. But let's talk a little bit about the the essay portion, because as I was saying in some of my last videos, that the essay can make or break the application. Before we get into your essay, quick question. With other people that were also, did you meet other students that were applying to med school as well?
Not necessarily at my school as much. A lot of my other pre-med friends were not in my same year or applying in the same cycle as I was. They were taking gap years, and I actually went straight through. So I was mostly alone on that, but I did meet other people along the way during my, interviews and whatnot.
And what was the emotions they were feeling through the process, would you say?
Oh, everyone was super nervous. It's a nerve-wracking process. You're under a lot of pressure, high stakes feelings all around. But there's always that element of excitement in everyone. You're going to places where you could potentially end up being and studying medicine, which is what all these people want to do.
Absolutely. So, and we hear that a lot, just that feeling of like, it feels like high stakes. There's definitely some nervousness. There's a little bit of anxiety around the process. There's not this feeling of like, for sure, this will definitely happen, right? Like you just don't know exactly where you're going to be. And one of the things about the med school application, of course, is the MCAT. Can you share just like how you did overall, like what percentile you were in?
I was in, I think, the 94th percentile. Which is...
That's great.
I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, I'm proud of it too.
Yeah. And there's a weird thing with the numbers games where, you'll look up on a website and you'll see this school takes a median of this score, and a lot of students get discouraged from applying to places or just even about themselves because they don't meet those criteria. But again, that's one number that they're looking at. It needs to be as good a number as you can make it, but ultimately there's more to you than just your MCAT score.
I'll tell you, actually, it's a very, very accurate statement. As someone who talks with admissions directors constantly, one of the things I just asked a straight shooter question because I know you want to know it. I said, well, based on GPA or based on a test score, don't you just like take a pack of all of those applications and just throw them out if they don't match? And they were like, no, we don't do that at all. Like, that's not what we do. It's not that one metric that we decide if someone's in or out. There's so much more to it. So I thought that was kind of fascinating because it is true. Like, you can't just look at a number and think, oh, that's just it. So let's talk about the part that I love, because I'm all about packaging and showcasing a student and making sure they look phenomenal. So let's talk about the essay part, because I know a lot of students, they write essays that are like, I want to go into medicine because I just want to like help people. And the thing is like, we all know that, like you were saying, but there's something more about what you did with your essay. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and share it with the audience live today, because I think your essay was extremely powerful.
Thank you. So I did take a lot of pride in my essay just because I felt it really came from a place of, this is me. Please, know a different side of me than just my test scores, my GPA. And that's what they really want. They don't want, I want to help people. They know that. That's why you're applying to medicine. What they really want to know is the kind of person that you are, what else you're bringing, just the other things that make you you. So I decided to write about something that was really important to me, which is teaching. And that's not just me standing in front of a classroom and teaching someone about biology, but all the aspects of teaching and how that relates to medicine. So I started with a story about how my mom had breast cancer when I was, I think, in high school. And both my parents are physicians, and because of that, the first thing that they did was they sat me and my sister down and they said, look, this is what it's going to be like. Mom's going to be okay. This is her prognosis. This is the medication she's going to be taking. This is what things are going to look like. And what that did was it really took a lot of the scariness away, the uncertainty. And that made it into something beatable and fightable. So I really took that with me into college, and I already loved teaching. I loved tutoring. I ended up helping to teach a biology class, the general biology class at USC, which is a real delight. And I also talked about how that relates to what I will be doing in the future as a physician. So a big part of being a doctor is, talking to patients and explaining things that are very unknown to them. And I really love that aspect of medicine. I want to help, take away the scariness from a lot of people's health problems. And so I really incorporated my passion for teaching, which is not necessarily all medically related, but I combined my, so I could take my love for teaching, the medical aspects and the non-medical aspects, and really bring them together. And I think that really painted a good picture of who I am, not just in terms of test scores, but in terms of what I want to take away from medicine, as well as what I want to contribute.
That's incredible. I mean, to be able to really not just, and I love teaching, right? If you think about it, I'm also in a field of loving to give the information I can, as much expertise as I can, in the most non-scary way possible. And so I love the way you describe it in your experience and in your footsteps. When I was in high school, I experienced my love for teaching and my love for tutoring, which is why I do this now. And so to me, to go through something that challenging and that difficult, but to have two parents that are physicians and be able to just break it down for you, yes, it's still hard. Cancer is hard, but you were able to incorporate that so beautifully in your essay as something you've been through and something that you can even utilize when you're giving news to family members. Because we talk a lot about the power of bedside manners in medicine and how that can make or break a good doctor in the sense of what people view you as someone who is knowledgeable and practices medicine. So I really applaud you for, with that essay, being willing to be vulnerable and real, because I think that's the biggest problem we see in admissions is that students are not willing to take a moment and reflect. Why? Why would you be interested in going into a program that requires a lot of time and a lot of studying?
Oh, yes.
And a lot of energy, right? The why has to be that strong. I say the same thing about entrepreneurship. So tell me a little bit about your experience in med school itself. I think, we've got a lot of students that are possibly in high school that are applying to 7-year med programs to get into med school automatically. We've got some people that are watching that may be interested in med school and are just curious, what is it like? Because you are now in it to win it. Mm-hmm. So can you describe what it's like a little bit? Maybe some of the classes, what it feels like, and feel free to mention some of the challenges too. It's totally fine.
All right. So I definitely am loving my time in med school. A big part of it is, the curriculum, which is, going to classes. The way our curriculum is set up is it's kind of divided into organ systems. So right now we're learning about the gastrointestinal system, and all our lectures are relevant to that. So we'll learn about, what the colon looks like under a microscope, and also some of the pathologies and the diseases that are associated with those organs. So it's really interesting, and it's nice to have everything kind of concentrated into relevant sections, and all the classes you're taking are related. I know it's different from undergraduate when you're taking GEs that are completely unrelated to maybe your science classes or whatever you're doing. It's really cool to see everything come together and integrate. In addition to that, we're doing a lot of practicing interviewing patients, which is a thing that's, I think, unique to this generation of medical schools. They're really emphasizing earlier patient interactions, which is great. So within the first few weeks, I was already talking with real patients about their medical problems, which is a real privilege.
Do you have any stories? Maybe you could share one of a moment or that experience of being in med school and talking to a real patient?
One thing that just struck me immediately, I think the first patient I ever interviewed, they had a condition that we happened to be talking about in class that week. So it was incredible to see the correlation between what we're learning and, wow, we're actually going to see this in real life. And for the first time, it seems, what you're learning is actually helping you in what you're going to be doing.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's so funny. We're living in an age, especially in the entrepreneurship world, right, where you hear a lot of people are saying college is useless. We don't need a degree, this, that, and the other. And to me, it's like Ryan's living proof that school is important, number one. And number two, we do need doctors to help us with our health, right? So I love the fact that you were experiencing something in a textbook or in a classroom. And it reminds me of a time when I was in, and I know it was a long time ago, but I have an insane memory. If you don't know that, I have incredible memory. So I was in World History AP, and we were learning about something in Italy. And my sister at the time was studying abroad in Italy for college. She's older than I am. So we go to Italy, and she's at the De Medici School of whatever, like studying photography. I was like, why didn't I get to study abroad? But fine. So she's doing this, and we go to this incredible museum, and I see the exact painting that I was learning about in school in real life. Wow. And it was like just immersion. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe immersive learning is really some of the most powerful ways to learn. Mm-hmm. So in your childhood, you were brought up with two physicians. Would you ever shadow them, or did you ever have any, I mean, I'm sure they brought a little bit of work home sometimes.
I would sometimes hang around my mom's pediatrics office. And I wouldn't really, this was when I was very little, I wasn't really paying attention, but I did like that environment. I felt at home. And when I got to undergrad, I started shadowing some of my mom's partners, and that kind of helped me get a glimpse into what the day-to-day life of a physician looks like. And so I think it did help me kind of get a glimpse into the life of a physician, both in and out of the clinic.
So let's talk about that. What do you want to be?
Well, fortunately, we don't have to decide yet. Recently I've always been interested in pediatrics. I love working with kids.
Me too.
There's a specialty. There's another specialty called Med Peds, which is medicine and pediatrics. So you're double board certified in internal medicine and pediatrics. So there, I would get to work with both adults and kids. And recently, I've been interested in ENT, which is an ears, nose, throat doctor.
Absolutely. So to me, just from my own observation, it's very clear that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree here. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that, okay? Because the truth is, I was brought up by two entrepreneurs. And for a long time, I fought it, just so you guys know. I tried to fight it. I mean, I attempted. It just didn't work very well. I worked at Goldman Sachs at one point. You know, I was at the most level of competitiveness I could in the corporate world. And so it doesn't surprise me that here you are in your mom's office, you're experiencing it just like I was in my mom's office experiencing it in the warehouse and being in that environment. And I think, you know what, whether you're consciously picking it up or not, subconsciously, there's a lot going on in the process. And of course, I love that we both share our love for children, because that's why we're all here today. So Ryan, I guess my last question would be, you know, do you have any advice for the students that are applying to med school or interested in medicine, that if you could look at your younger self, you would have given them that tip of advice?
Mm-hmm. I definitely have one major piece of advice that I want to give every single person who ever has any interest in applying to a competitive field, especially like medicine, and that is to really plan out your curriculum, your schedule, whatever it is that you're doing for school, so that you can really set yourself up for success academically, but also that you can put in time for your passions, because when you apply, they're not looking for just a bunch of numbers that look nice. They want people. They want people who are interesting and people who are willing to follow their passions. So for me, at the time of, when I was in college, that was marching band. And I always told myself, I never want to have to compromise between class and marching band. So I worked hard. I very strategically planned my schedule so that I would never be overwhelmed with work, and I would always have time for marching band, and I did well in school. So I think smart planning, spreading your classes out as much as you can, and knowing yourself to schedule yourself to create a good schedule that works for you. That's really important.
Absolutely. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed that. You know, my name, again, it's Neha Gupta with Dream School TV. I'm so excited to have Ryan here. And I will tell you that if you are looking for a mentor, if you are wanting that kind of assistance, we are right here to help. Make sure to like, share, and comment on this video below. We're so excited to share Ryan with you today because we know how challenging and competitive college can be, getting into undergrad and graduate. So don't forget, you can apply to book an interview with us, and we would love to help you get into your dream school. Thank you so much.